It's prosperity, and actually speaking of, that's going to be my word for 2021 is prosperity. I've already got it ready for me.
Love it.
But, realizing that prosperity doesn't just mean financial abundance, prosperity is all across your life.
Good morning, prosperity seekers. Welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Approach podcast. I am so thrilled that you are listening in today because we have a very special guest on today that I want to spend some time introducing her to you. You can get to know her. One of the things that I experienced on both sides of the coin here is when I was working in my own personal development, trying to figure out wealth consciousness, trying to figure out how to manifest getting my way to success without having to grind my way there, is that I would listen to these leaders and these gurus and these experts. And I would always think, well, yeah, that works for you. But really, can it actually work for me? And most of the time the answer was no. You can do it, but you don't understand why I'm so different. And all of these principles just don't work for me. And then when I realized, once I cracked the manifesting code, that they really do work, but there's specific things that I must do as well in order to have these principles work really powerfully in my life. I then found myself on the other side of the coin with people saying, well, that's really great for you, but you don't understand my circumstances, or others that were just yearning for results so much in their lives. And they would say, it's so great that it worked for you, but I don't know if it will work for me. And that just broke my heart. And I thought, you know what? I know that the prosperity approach works for more people than just me. I have taught this to hundreds and hundreds of people that have gotten such amazing results from it. And it's not anything to do with me. It's because they have taken what they've learned and they've applied it to their own lives and they've run with it. And so I thought, well, what better way to let people know that it doesn't just work for, a specific type of person, or you have to have a certain level of success before it will work, than to get somebody on here that I have worked with that has taken these teachings and run with them. And so I am so excited to have Stephanie Gilley on the show today. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. What an honor.
Awesome. Thank you, Allyson. Thanks for having me today. I'm glad to be here.
Oh man, I am so excited for this conversation with you. So first of all, tell us about you. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're up to in the world these days. Who is Stephanie Gilley?
Okay. Well, it's interesting. Your introduction was perfect because I related to a lot of what you said about seeing people doing all these things and thinking, well, that works for them, but maybe not so much for me. So I'm pretty much your girl next door. I taught second grade for the last 15 years. I've raised two daughters, been a single mom for the last 10 years. And just this past year, I made a shift and left teaching after the last 15 years and got into educational software sales. And for the first time in my life, I'm working one primary job as opposed to three jobs. And just, enjoying life. I've got two, like I said, beautiful daughters, about to be 20, about to be 18. And just living the life.
Wow. Oh, love it. Love it. You're in education, for crying out loud. You're not just, well, I came off another planet and now I'm here. You're in the trenches with us other sisters, lady. So what was going on in your life? What specific challenges or problems or issues were going on before you were introduced to the prosperity approach? And how were you introduced to the prosperity approach in the first place? Let's maybe start there.
Okay, awesome. So really, it's kind of a cool story. I made a lot of changes in my life this past year, despite all the stress of this past year that we've just been through. For me personally, I, at the end of 2019, said, 2020 is going to be different. This is the year. My word I chose was evolve. I pick a word every year. And like Allyson teaches, unbeknownst to me, at the time, I said, this will be different this year. I will change my life this year. And as 2019 was closing out, I had made the determination that I would make this my final year of teaching and I would branch out and do something different for multiple reasons. I love teaching, but I had a lot of other things I was wanting to step out and do. And as the universe does, it delivered to me early. So I actually left my teaching position in the middle of the school year. I had an opportunity that was too good to pass up come to me. And so I started a brand new job in sales for the first time in a long time in January of 2020. I was considering making a move out of the home that I had been in for 11 years and considering making a move out of the little town I'd been in and wasn't sure how I was going to make that move and transition. Once again, the doors kind of flew open for me because I had made that determination. And where I found myself as the year was going on, I found myself in this interesting place. I had made these great changes. I could go on for hours and hours over my life of everything does always work out for me because God does always deliver just what you need when you need it. Yes. But where I found myself was struggling to settle into this new place of all this prosperity in my life without any type of guilt. And I found myself struggling in my sales. Unbeknownst to me, it was a money mindset issue. And money's always been one of those things that I was making it my source, definitely. I was raised with wonderful parents, but with a dad who went from nothing to quite a bit and was raised with the mentality of, you must work hard for everything. It must be a struggle. There are no free rides. And so I had been watching all these podcasts and listening to all these things over the last couple of years, and I would hear bits and pieces that would resonate. And I finally just prayed and said, listen, I need some help here. I've got too much noise. I need one place to go where I can get everything I need. Literally the next day, I'm scrolling through my Facebook and I see Allyson's beautiful face and I got the nudge and I thought, I'm going to look into this. And what was interesting is the focus was to get your money mindset right. But something in me thought, this is going to really help my career. This is going to help with my sales career. So that's kind of the nudge I got. And so from there, I got involved with the prosperity experience, read Allyson's book. And from there, it's just been amazing for me.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about that. So this is what's so fun for me because I don't usually hear these backstories like this from people that have joined in my free challenge called the Prosperity Experience that you found me from. And so this is just so much. It's so much fun for me to see how, like you said, God delivers all the time and he delivers exactly what you need, but you've got to be open to that. And may I just point out, you said a number of times you made the decision and the determination that things were going to change. And that's where it all stems from. You didn't know how, you just knew that it would. And then you figured out, oh, there's something to do with money. I didn't really even know that. And we live in this universe of abundance and holy cow, that includes podcasts, that includes information, that includes free things, that includes mentors, everything all across the board. And it can definitely feel it can become noise. And so what a beautiful testament you are to I need to single in on one thing. And then boom, you ask the question and the answer was delivered within 24 hours. And that tends to happen when you are I must move forward. You must guide me. And that is so beautiful. So beautiful. So did you have any concerns about using the prosperity approach when you were first introduced to it? Any hesitations about diving in?
Yes. So my concern was that, is this going to be something that I make a commitment to and find I don't have the time and energy for? So am I going to spread myself thin yet again? And so that was my immediate concern. But honestly, after spending probably the first 15 minutes in that first session of the prosperity experience, I just had this settling, okay, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. And so I kind of told myself, okay, we're going to run an experiment. we're going to block all the rest out. And we're going to go all in here and we're going to listen. And I do think that's one of the things. I think that I'm a pretty coachable person. And I told myself from the start, I remember one of the things you said is a lot of what you're going to hear, you've probably heard in your life sometime before. Fight the urge to be like, well, I already know this. And so I told myself, okay, every time I hear something I already know, this is just reinforcing it, be coachable. And so really quickly, all those kind of fears were put aside. Because like I said, the thing that I locked in on probably the second or third session with you that I was involved was the money mindset and realizing things that I was thinking in my head that I would never want to have admitted out loud to anybody. I think I'm a pretty good person. I think I'm a pretty nice, kind person. But when I realized some of the beliefs that I have developed around people with abundance or having money and what that means, it was eye-opening for sure.
And pretty humbling. I don't think that you're the only person that has come to that realization about, what we really think. And, and it's just this extra level of awareness that we didn't have before. And then we realize, oh, well, if I'm thinking that people who are prosperous or abundant are inherently bad or they're inherently selfish or greedy, I don't want to be that person. There's no way you'll ever have money. And then you'll kill yourself against, trying to, get to the next level and have so much frustration without realizing that you have this secret animosity towards people that have money and you don't want to be that person. And so that is so powerful. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you. That can be a little bit of a vulnerable thing to share with others, especially when we're in this culture of don't judge me. And then we realize, oh, too late. I already did. And I didn't even realize it. But that's why we get to course correct. We get to course correct as we go. So you mentioned that you had some concerns about being spread too thin, and would it take too much time? What has been your experience with that?
Well, actually, what my experience has been is that I have really been able to streamline a lot of things that I was already doing, but maybe in a different way. So for me, I've always had a get up before the rest of the house early morning routine that I spent time with my grateful journal, spent time attempting to meditate. I've definitely gotten better at that lately. But, I had regular routines, but they would be kind of inconsistent. I would listen to this podcast, or I would read this book, or I would do this thing. And so what really has worked out well for me, once I started kind of looking into some of your teachings and working with you and following some of your information, what's been really helpful for me is to stay very narrow and focused on those particular things. And like I said, I told myself I would go 100% all in and give my focus here and see what happened. And it's definitely, if anything, probably my load has lightened. I find myself, one of the things I know that I'd heard you talk about to really understand the concept, was collapsing time and or expanding time. And that has been my experience, not even intending for that to be what happened, just because things have gotten so streamlined. So definitely it has lightened my load as opposed to adding to my load for sure.
Oh, I thank you so much for sharing that, Stephanie. Like you can't even know, because so many people, it's the two big things. I don't have time and I don't have money. And we can look at all of the evidence that backs that up. And yet what I have realized for me, because I was the same way for sure. Like I'm spread so thin. I've got all of these programs I'm already doing. Some I haven't even ever done. And so can I trust myself to even do this? And then when I realized it's not that I don't have enough time, it's an issue of time management. is what it is. And it's not about, I mean, you spoke into the morning routine, and I am a huge fan of the morning routine. It shifts absolutely everything, but it's also not about, okay, now you got to get up at 3 a.m. It's not about that. It's just about like shifting some things and prioritizing and things like that. So what were some of the first things that you did, and what were some of the shifts that happened internally? Because I know everybody's looking for those outside results, and those outside results definitely come, but they only come after an internal shift happens first. So what did you start doing first, and what were the first internal shifts you noticed?
Okay. Really one of the first things that I really invested my time in was really carving out a protected meditation space. And one of the things that I realized with meditation that I had probably been doing a little bit wrong was I had put on myself that it had to be this certain amount of time. And so one of the things that I learned from you was, start small. And so, the first couple of days I got to 2 minutes before my mind was all over the place. Awesome. And I'm now at about 5 minutes. It's taken me a while to get here. I'm a very busy minded person. Mm-hmm. But I found almost immediately that sacred meditation space set the tone for my day. And I also found pretty quickly that, everybody's rhythm or experience is a little bit different. And pretty quickly within the first couple of weeks, I was able to kind of figure out what meditation looks like for me. And it's been invaluable for me, especially for my busy mind. The other thing that's been huge and life-changing for me internally is I used to always tell friends, in the busy, my girls are a little bit older now, and life's definitely gotten easier, those years of trying to balance all of their school stuff and my school stuff and my extra jobs and all of that. I don't have quite that same frenetic pace going in my life. But one of the things that I used to always say to a couple of my really close friends was, I just want to get to a place in my life where I'm like the tree that's deeply rooted. And when the storm comes, I don't let it blow me away. I may sway, but I don't get uprooted and blown away by my circumstances. And really, for the first time ever, to fully understand the difference between the beautiful and the suffering state, and realizing how much time I was spending in a suffering state unbeknownst to me, because we think, suffering state, we think, well, anxious, worry, but boredom and other things that I never really thought of that are not productive to creating are part of that state. And one of the quickest ways for me to slip in the suffering state is I am a giver and doer and warrior for others. And that's one of my quickest ways to slip into that, suffering state. And once I really got a handle on, I've got all these dreams and desires and all these things I'm trying to do, and I simply cannot get there or have them in this state. I have to remain in this beautiful state. It's an everyday battle. It will be for the rest of my life, I'm sure. But I feel very thankful and very appreciative that things that would have blown me completely off course even 6 months ago, at this point in time, I'm able to stop and go, okay, everything always works out for me, and this will too. It's not always perfect. And I'm sure, my girls are probably hearing me right now saying, I don't know if she's always in a beautiful state, but I'm much more conscious of that. And the internal, the shift that it gave me, even without anything tangible to see on its way, just gave me that extra dose of faith and hope that I knew, good things were on their way. And one of the things that really appealed to me with your work is the marriage of the spiritual side as well, because to me, my faith is huge. And it's really given me the opportunity to get back and really make sure that my source is spirit and is my God and not the other things in my life. And that's been huge for me.
Oh, love, Stephanie, I love this, because here's the thing. So we talk about the beautiful state and the suffering state in the 5-day prosperity experience challenge. And that was what I realized was the key to the joy in the journey. was, and it doesn't have to be a battle. Like I decided it's a dance. Like I'm going to dance. It's going to be a dance between the beautiful and the suffering state. And it's your state of mind. And that's what brings that joy in the journey. And that's what I am all about these days. And what I realize is actually something very, very simple that you can connect to throughout the day. It's just a level of awareness without any sort of judgment and understanding what's going on in your mind and what you're telling yourself about different situations or different events in your life make all the difference in the world. And then, yes, we're taught to make everything but God our source, or everything but spirit our source. And it leaves us feeling powerless, and it leaves us feeling desperate, and it leaves us feeling like we have to be bargaining all the time. And that just is not actually how it really works. And so just the fact that those two things they have the capacity to change absolutely everything. If those are the only things that you applied with what I teach, that'll change absolutely everything. So I know that people are like, okay, so this is great. You're feeling good throughout the day. You're learning how to quiet your mind and meditate. I know there are people listening going, yeah, I know that. Tell me something I don't already know. And remember, we're not here to, blow your mind with new things. Some things we'll teach are definitely new and are mind blowing, but let's anchor this in a different way, and let's get it anchored in more deeply than it has before. Because what I'm here to do is help you close that gap between knowing and having, because you might know it, but you don't have it. And we have it, and we want you to have it too. And so, all right, Stephanie, what are the specific outer game results that you have experienced, and what's been the time frame that you've experienced these specific results, and whether that's financially, spiritually, in your own health, in your relationships, like whatever it is that you choose to focus on. I would love to hear some financial things, because we are doing a financial series right now in this podcast. But tell me, what results have you experienced using the prosperity approach?
Perfect. Okay. So, just like I said, my mind likes to work overtime, and it likes to plan and prepare. And I think one of the things I really want to point out that you touched on a little bit earlier, that honestly really is the first time I think anybody had said this to me, is really coming from a place of zero judgment. Like, I am my own worst critic, and I will beat myself up over something forever. And when I really locked into, owning it and move forward with zero judgment, that really was a big thing for me. And so one of the things that I really had to own is that I really have let concern over money or making money my source really be a theme in my life. I can think of, many times, just even my vocabulary to my daughters, we can't afford that right now. We can't do that right now. Just the way that I communicated things. And I also have been a person that, I would do it for somebody else, but maybe not for myself, because, I felt guilt or shame or whatever kind of a thing. And so really some of the tangible things that have happened as a result, as I started to applying the different principles and things started to shift and I started to feel very hopeful, but how? But how is this going to come to me? That plays over in your mind, but wait, but how? And thinking back over all the things that have blessed me in my life. And again, I could write a book over all the different things that came to me this job in ways that I was not anticipating. I had no idea what the how was going to look like. And so really that help from you and settling that part of myself down and being open to anything and everything. I think when that finally clicked, like literally doors blew open. And that was at about 3 months or so from the start of the time that I started working with you. Mm-hmm. And, specifically, just to get very specific, I have a certain amount that I like to be sitting in my, now I call my lemonade account. If life gives you lemonade, you can make lemonade, not my savings account.
Love it.
I have a certain amount that's my comfort level, car breaks down, et cetera. That had been, I was giving some extra assistance to one of my daughters and another one's a senior, things like that. And I was, not liking where that was. And I had in my mind where I wanted it to be, and some different things. And out of the blue, just the craziest things I would have never expected, showed up. I unexpectedly found out about a bonus that I had no idea was going to be, never in a million years did I have any idea. I had an opportunity through my bank, offering up of some extra like dividends that had earned throughout the year, just different things that if anybody had ever told me this was the way that I was going to get where I wanted to be with my finances, I would have never possibly imagined that. And so, another, this does have to do with money, but another very tangible thing is I have visions of doing some things on the side. I have kind of a side business that I'm in the process of starting, and somebody that has been a close friend and mentor for a long time came to me actually out of the blue and has offered up to work with me just as something she wants to do and guide me through the process. And so it's just like I'm telling you, it was like in this 1 week, all these crazy, just one thing after another. I was just like, oh my gosh, what's coming next? So, and it just that reminder again that I'm doing the steps, I'm doing the work that's on my side, but then I've got to take my hands off and walk the talk of really, truly trusting God to deliver what I believe He will.
Absolutely. And although my whole philosophy is prosperity is prosperity is prosperity. So a dime you find on the sidewalk is abundance. That's prosperity. And having said that too, we can express gratitude for the dime we find on the sidewalk and ask for more to be spent. But this was significant money. This was significant, a bonus. This wasn't, a $12 bonus that was coming your way. Like this really, really does make a difference in your life. It's life-changing kind of money in that, which is so fun. And when I read that from my clients and people who have worked with me, whether it's in the free challenge or whether it's in my Rise Up mentoring program, like every time my eyes fill up with tears and I'm like, I know this works. And it's just so exciting to see it work over and over again for other people as they are doing their part. And you touched on the part that I think is difficult for most people. And it's that trusting. It's trusting that God will deliver. It's having that joyful expectation when it hasn't quite come yet. And we get so caught up in when and how, when what we are meant to focus on is what and why. Like that's what we get to focus on. The when and the how are God's job. That's his, that's his area. That's not our area. So what did you do, if anything, during that time to keep your trust really high that things were on its way?
One of the things that I've always done, but I do even more than ever, I feel it's so important to have a gratitude practice and to really look around and notice how you're already rich. And, that's one of the things that has always kept me going, even through some of the hardest times, was stopping and going, okay, I may not be able to do this right now, but I just got out of the hot shower and there are people without a hot shower. I just got out of this nice, comfy, warm bed. And so, I've kept a grateful journal for years, and I look back from time to time and there were days that it was like, I'm grateful for Dr. Pepper, that's the best I could do for that day. Yes. But I was grateful for it. And I think one of the things that I've really learned from you and through this process, that has never quite lined up for me like it does now. I've always struggled with, I knew these things worked, but I did not know when to put boots on the ground and work and when to sit back and allow. And so I can look back over my life. It's funny, there's certain things. I wrote something in a journal about 7 years ago, and it was something that I was looking for in my life and wanting in my life. And I was very specific, and it showed up about a year later, exactly the way I had laid it out. And so and I'd forgotten about it actually until I ran back across that. And so there's always been bits and pieces, like I kind of knew, but I've always wanted to step in and force. And so one of the things that's really been helpful for me through this process is to remain in gratitude, remain looking around and noticing how I'm already rich, but then really doing the work to talk to God about it, talk about my desires in a very specific way, and trust. I mean, really, truly trust. One of the things you were saying in your podcast, you were talking about the question, how could I move forward from here? How could I move this forward? And we focus on how as opposed to what could I actually do? What steps can I take right here, right now to move me forward? What are things that are tangible but aren't trying to take over the entire situation and take control?
It makes it so much easier and palatable, don't you think? That when you're in instead of going into the how, because we don't know the how and we get totally defeated by the how, what could that, I mean, that was just so instrumental for me. It sounds like it was for you as well. Like, let's just push the needle forward just a little bit. And there's always things we can do, but it doesn't have to be like this pushing kind of a thing. It's where we get into that allowing, where we get into the gratitude and the noticing and the linking it to how much God loves you and how you're meant to be wealthy and you're meant to be prosperous. You're meant to share with others. You've got it. You've got it. And then it's that whole rinse and repeat. Right? It's that rinse and repeat formula. I know what to do. I know why I'm doing it and moving forward that way. So what do you think is the single most important thing that people should know about the prosperity approach?
Probably, even though I know that initially the focus is looking at your money situation and your finances and how to, kind of change up your mindset and beliefs. The fact that it bleeds over into every area of your life. It truly is all encompassing. It's not just about, it's prosperity, and actually speaking of, that's going to be my word for 2021 is prosperity. I've already got it ready for me.
Love it.
But, realizing that prosperity doesn't just mean financial abundance, prosperity is all across your life. And so I think the single biggest thing is someone may show up with the intentions to change their money mindset or to get some assistance with their financial prosperity. But I think what they will find is all the other areas that they benefit and grow so much, and that this really does address has been such a huge blessing for me. And like I said, I first came across that, thought, well, I wonder if this might be helpful for me with sales. And it has. I mean, it's been helpful for my mindset. Probably the biggest shift is getting out of that guilt that it's okay to want more and even want more for yourself, not just for others, but for yourself. That's okay. As a matter of fact, that's what God wants for us. He wants us to live an abundant life. And that's been huge for me.
Oh, I love this. This has been such a fun conversation, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't believe how fast this time has gone. So I know people are going to want to know more about you. You've got this baby business that you're growing. I know you have an Instagram account. Tell us how people can find you on Instagram, what you're doing over there on that platform, and how can they connect with you?
Perfect. Well, I actually just set up a new Instagram a couple of weeks ago. It's called Unexpected Dividends. I am actually doing some daily card pulls over there, some inspiration. My goal in life is to leave people better than I found them and to encourage people and give people hope. And so that's what the Instagram page is focusing on. I'm in the process of setting up my website. I'm going to be offering some one-on-one readings here after the start of the year. But for right now, I'm just getting the ball rolling. So yeah, Unexpected Dividends over at Instagram is where you can find me.
Wonderful. And this episode is airing a little bit after the first of the year. And so she's already up and going. And so go find her over at Unexpected Dividends. I love that handle. I love that name. That is it's perfect for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank you, Stephanie. It has been an honor. It's been a privilege. And thank you, Prosperity Seekers, all of you for tuning into this episode of the Prosperity Approach. If you are feeling a little bit intrigued by the free 5-day online challenge called the Prosperity Experience, we are gearing up for that and ready to launch the next challenge, 100% free. You're going to go over to prosperityapproach.com/challenge, get yourself registered. You'll learn more about these beautiful states and suffering states and how not to make money your source anymore, and some of these things, these hidden beliefs that you didn't know you were actually running, and really getting yourself into a place of not only relief, but this beautiful place of receiving so much more joy, so much more financial abundance, and all the things, the relationships, your connection with God, and all of that. So we hope to see you over there in the Prosperity Experience, and we'll see you next time on the Prosperity Approach. Bye-bye.